What do you believe, but cannot prove? One of my best friends from middle up and disappeared with his entire family. Seriously. There one day, totally empty house the next. No phone calls, no texts, no social media. I'm convinced the whole family was in witness protection. Were people looking for them, and did it make the news? That's one of the more reasonable assumptions, excluding the more tragic possibilities. Around 1995 I was away in college. Broke up with a girlfriend, and when she left she took the remote for the TV. I just figured I misplaced it. I moved back to my hometown a month later. Soon I bought a new TV and never thought about it again. About 4 years later we get back in contact. We were from the same geographic area. She drops by my new place for a coffee, and after she leaves I can't find the remote for my, now new, TV. I search everywhere, and in a crack under the back cushion on the couch I found the remote for the old TV. Never did find the remote I needed for the new TV. I'm sure she stole both of them and pulled a switcheroo years later. Now that's a long con. I've got no idea why, but I laughed longer and harder at this than is normal. Thank you. I went to a Guns N' Roses aka Axl Rose concert during the Barrelhead days, around 2006 I think. Anyway, I'm about 99% sure that the singer on stage was not really Axl. I was such a huge fan, so I'd seen them on this tour a couple times already. He looked like Axl and sounded like him, but there was something off about it. Can't put my finger on it, but I really think that it was a very good impersonator. I don't know why this story creeped me out more than any other here. I saw Cher in concert when I was a teen. In the middle of one of her songs a Cher impersonator came out to sing with her, then another, and another, and another. The stage was full of Cher impersonators, and I was left wondering whether I ever saw the real Cher. Childhood friends stole my copy of Super Smash Bros. Melee. Haunts me to this day. Did they do it? I'll never know. That's treason. Kind of same but worse. Lent my SNES with Super Mario All-Stars to a friend for a weekend. He said it was stolen when he was asleep. Skeptical. Prince Andrew does actually sweat. Next you'll be saying Epstein didn't kill himself. That some people wait around until they see someone sitting or parked by themselves and then go sit or park close to them. I don't know what their goal is, but it happens so many times there has to be something going on. This happens to me all the time. I purposely park far away from the store, usually within the last few rows. And I usually have plenty of empty spots on both sides of my car. Inevitably when I come back to my car there is someone parked in a spot right next to my car, even though there are lots of empty spaces in the same row. They probably think their car is safer close to another car. Subway was much higher quality 20 years ago. I can believe this as well. I can't really say I liked Subway more or less now, but so much stuff seems to have gotten worse over the years. Also, I don't know if this is a factor, but I recall somebody saying that the change in food flavors had to do with the movement to eliminate trans fats from foods, so ingredients were altered. Fast food in general was higher quality 20 years ago, with some exception. The largest exception is probably chicken nuggets. 20 years ago they were more like deep-fried chicken bone milkshake. But since they were largely marketed towards kids, no one cared what kind of quality they were. There is some culture on Earth that has realized that denim is better for drying hands than both tissue paper and air dryers, and so has denim paper instead. Sir, I'd like to talk to you about a business proposition. I'm physically disabled, and as my issues have worsened with time I've gone from directly working with patients to a desk job. Around the time COVID started, I finally had to request some gear to be able to do my job due to my issues. At my employer, this sort of thing comes out of the office budget. Recently I got an interview for another area, and it went really well. A short time after, a co-worker I vaguely know contacted me and asked me a lot of questions about my disability and the recent aid I needed to continue doing my job. I didn't think anything of it, as people get curious and ask me questions every so often. She did ask a lot of oddly in-depth questions about how our employer made changes for my disability. Time passes, and I hear nothing about the position. I contact the hiring manager, and whereas before she was friendly and open, she talks to me now like she has someone with a gun standing behind her and she's afraid to say the wrong thing. Eventually she tells me the position was filled, and she doesn't know why I wasn't told. Even though she's the one who would do the notification. A few days later it's announced that the woman who was asking me all the questions got the job. I had no idea she was interviewing, and I suspect one of her higher-up friends tipped her off I was her competition. From things that have happened since, I suspect she talked about me in the interview, and convinced the hiring manager hiring me would mean expenditures to account for my disability, and that being disabled I wouldn't be able to keep up with my work like non-disabled employees. But I can't prove any of it. This pissed me off. What a bitch. When my mom died, my dad and I basically lived in a stupor for nearly a full year, but then we both kind of agreed we needed to move on and we spent all of August and September cleaning and renovating our apartment from top to bottom, keeping things of hers that were important, and giving away / donating / tossing the rest. All of her clothes, makeup, perfume, we gave away or donated. I steam cleaned the floors and upholstery twice, we kills primed the walls and painted in them, scrubbed and or painted anything that stood still long enough, we even got new curtains and blinds, it looked like a new place. It smelled like a new place. Christmas was big for my mom, and I have strong memories of her staying up all Christmas Eve baking and wrapping last-minute gifts. We did not celebrate Christmas the year before, both of us had barely even noticed it had passed, so the next year I stepped into the idea of taking up the traditions my mom had left behind, including the staying up late and finishing baking and wrapping. It was late, like 2 or 3 a.m., and the whole apartment smelled like peppermint chocolate from the cookies I was making, and I went to get more tape from the desk next to where my mom's recliner used to be, and I got it with the smell of her perfume so strongly, just how it smelled when it was on her a while, which was spicier and not as floral as it would be straight from the bottle. I swear I smelled the smoke of the herbal cigarettes she would buy herself a pack of for special occasions. It was so strong and so real, and when I got closer to the spot I swear I could almost feel her there, like I expected her and her chair to suddenly appear there in that spot. I just stood there for a few seconds, and then the smell was gone. I grabbed the tape and went back to wrapping, telling myself it was some kind of reaction to my first real holiday celebration with my mom. I told myself it was probably trapped in the carpet or in my mind, it's not real. I went and sniffed there multiple times a day for weeks, and finally I went and bought a steam cleaner and went over that spot multiple times, hoping that the steam would make that smell rise from the carpet, and I could call myself a big baby, but it didn't pull up anything but carpet cleaner and some cat hair. But to this fucking day I swear to whatever deity or lack thereof there is, she was there, or some part of her was. I can't prove it, or disprove it, and despite my real want to say it was just some sort of trick my mind played on me, because it'd be easier for me to accept that, I can't help but believe in it. It never happened again, and after living in it for 3 more Christmases we left that place 4 years ago, and as far as I know, no one has reported any smells or anything, so it was probably just my warped mind. But I still believe it was her. That's a beautiful story. I honestly believe in nostalgic-induced hallucinations. Everyone always thinks of hallucinations as sights and sounds. But the most common hallucinations I seem to have are olfactory ones: smell. And from time to time I'll be sitting on my couch and smell perfume / scent of my ex-girlfriend. It was an absolutely wonderful smell, and I don't know why I can smell it from time to time, but I've convinced myself that's what it is. I once had proof, but that was a long time ago. Ex-best friend killed cats and mice. Wants to be a serial killer one day. It's terrifying, and since I'm no longer associate with them, I'm probably high up on the list for knowing. Add-on, friend was serious about this. Wanted to use weapons made of molded ice so they'd melt away before being found on the scene. Add-on 2, feel free to ask any question. Please, thank you for the upvotes. There was this kid who went to scout camp with us one year who had a problem with stealing stuff. His parents did drugs and he was being raised by his grandparents. But he was nothing compared to his younger brother. His younger brother did all of the future serial killer type things. He wet the bed every night, start random fires, and most of all, he would sneak out at 3 AM and go to the neighbor's farm and kill all the chickens by choking them and then piss all over the chicken corpses. Every time he would come to a scout function he would scream and run away. Nobody felt safe around him. Edit, forgot to mention, he was about 8. Yesterday I read a comment where the weird kid and his girlfriend made a list of all the students they wanted to rape and kill, and they have written specifically how they'll rape and kill each one of them. Creepy as F. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.